Greetings from the rooftop in a city that is not Puerto Vallarta. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, guys. I know we've been a little MIA for the last week or so, but that's because we finally got to travel as a family here in Mexico. It's been over 3 years since the last time my wife, the kids, and myself were able to travel together. And we finally had the opportunity to do it here in Mexico, and we have been trying to cherish and enjoy this trip as a family. We have visited two different places, and one of those places is where your favorite content creator lives, the GOAT of Life in Mexico content, right? All across social media platforms. But before we get to that part of the story, and before we get to this part of the story, and the city, the second part of our trip, on where I'm currently located and where we're visiting, we're going to take it all the way back to the beginning, which was last Friday when we left our home, took an Uber to the airport with the kids. Unfortunately, when we left, I was a little sick. So I left the house with a little bit of a cold. As you can still hear, I'm still a little sick. And unfortunately, later on in the trip, it got to my kids, it got to my wife, but we've tried to make the best out of this trip as best as we can. We took an Uber from our home to the airport in Puerto Vallarta, and we left really early because we had gotten word that there were going to be a couple of protests going on in the city, and that they were possibly going to shut the roads down. And so we made sure we didn't want to miss our flight. So we left to the airport, got there 3 hours early, and sat around waiting for our plane. The kids did great. We bought them a couple of snacks. They were playing on their tablets. In the midst of us waiting for our plane, I did apply for a credit card with Volaris because that is who we were flying with. And I was like, well, if this goes well, why not, right? Keep flying with them. Now, they did exceed my expectations, and not because I have flown with them in the past. I haven't flown in Mexico. This was our first time. But everything I had heard on social media, online about Volaris was never positive. It was always negative. It was always complaints, service. Everything was just a negative experience. And I have to say the polar opposite. We had a great time. It was simple. It was very easygoing. We didn't have any hiccups, any trouble. We got there. We got through TSA, and then we boarded the plane. Now, one thing that was kind of neat, I had never experienced this because, well, I haven't flown that much in my life, period. But we took a little bus from the terminal or the gate over to the plane that was out in the middle of the airport. I had never done that, and that was kind of cool. And again, for me, it was just every little thing. For me, um, it was an experience. Even something as simple as getting in a little bus and being transferred from the gate over to the airplane, because I was flying with my family for the first time in over 3 years. So I was really excited about that. So every little thing that we did throughout the trip for me was just like, oh man, this is cool. So we got on the plane. We boarded the plane right after we took the little bus from the gate over to the plane, and then we flew from Puerto Vallarta over to Mexico City. And when we got to Mexico City, it was only an hour and 30-minute plane ride or flight. When we landed in Mexico City, I was a little discombobulated, and so was my wife. We were a little lost. The airport was pretty big, and there was construction going on everywhere. Jackhammers, drills. I mean, it was super loud, super noisy, and we were all tired, right? We were exhausted. I was feeling a little sick. My wife was starting to feel a little off, and we just wanted to get onto the bus because from Mexico City, we were going to take a bus over to the other state that we were visiting. But before doing that, we stopped by, we got some food, fed ourselves because we knew that the bus ride was going to be about 3 hours or so. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was fed, happy, and full. Once we got some food, we went over to the bus terminal, and then we waited about 30 minutes for the bus. I mean, you literally just walk up, you buy your bus ticket, and they tell you when the next one leaves. I think they leave every 30 minutes or so. So no matter what time you need a bus or you need to travel by bus, You just show up, buy your ticket, and off you go. So we bought our bus tickets to go from Mexico City over to Puebla. Yes, you already know who lives in Puebla. Um, it was about a 3 hour ride, and I have to say, man, the the bus ride over to Puebla was, I have no complaints. It was so nice that I would prefer to ride in a bus with three kids, our three kids, for 10 to 12 hours in a bus than fly for 3 hours in a plane. That is how comfortable it was. No hassles, no hiccups. The seats were comfortable. You can recline them all the way back. You could put your legs up. They give you free water. I mean, they have TVs. Everything about the bus ride was great. I loved it. It was an awesome experience. It was also the first time we traveled as a family within Mexico in a bus. It was almost like first class, or it might have been first class. I don't know. But I've told my wife, I've talked to Alondra, and I said, you know what? From now on, we have to truly consider going on bus than flying with kids. That is how amazing and comfortable that bus ride was. So we took the bus ride over to Puebla. We got there at about 8 o'clock, 8:30, I believe, where Candace and Fidel, yes, the GOAT of content creation when it comes to life in Mexico, was waiting for us. And we finally met in person, right? Candace has sent a lot of people from her channel over to support our channel. Candace has become a good friend of mine through social media. And to be able to connect our families, finally, to be able to meet Fidel, her kids, and she was able to meet my wife Alondra and our kids, was an incredible experience. And I have so much to say about them as a family, about Fidel, about Candace, but we'll get to all of that later on, right? This is just the beginning. So we did a lot of fun stuff. We did a lot of fun stuff while we were there visiting them. I am going to split this video or my vlogs into different parts because every single day we did so much. And it was such a neat experience being able to visit them in their pueblo and just walking around that small town that you all see in her vlogs. So she picked us up from the airport and then we rode over to her pueblo. At first it was a little awkward, you meet for the first time, you meet through social media, you communicate, you become good friends, and then you finally meet in person. It's always awkward. It's always a little uneasy because you don't really know, like, but you don't know, you know the person, but you really don't know them. But after that night passed by, we got some rest. We got to the rental that she had waiting for us. The way she hosted us, man, she went a mile and above for us. I mean, she had a basket in the bathroom for us with, just bath things, toiletries, all of that stuff. I mean, she had a basket in the kitchen for us, toys for the kids, candies, sweaters, beanies. She went above and beyond for us, her and Fidel. I mean, they really did. They didn't have to do any of that stuff for us, and they did anyways. The way they hosted us, I can't say enough. I can't say enough about them, and I'm sure my wife. Unfortunately, my wife is sick. She's lost her voice, as you can hear. I'm still feeling a little sick. That's why she's not joining me on this first part of our trip and just kind of explaining what it was like or what it's been like. But she will be hopefully in the next ones. This is just the first part. But we got some rest. It was really cold in Puebla, in her town. She had told me, look, bring extra layers because it's really, really cold here. But for me, I loved it. I love the cold. I miss the cold. In Puerto Vallarta, we're hot year round. So to be able to experience just freezing weather again, for me, it was like, oh man, it was awesome. Alondra, not so much. The kids did great, but Alondra gets cold very easily. But she still pulled through, and she still, my wife, she's a trooper too, man. Even though she wasn't feeling well too, she pulled through and she still had a great time. Hey guys, did y'all have fun hanging out with Candace and her family?
Yes.
What
Yes.